Street Fighter VI has finally hit the scene. After the botch release of Street Fighter V, the fans knew that Capcom had a lot to prove this time around. Not only did they need to make a better version of the same balanced fighting game they've made for years, but it also has to be more accessible to newcomers than the last one, while bringing new things for returning fans of the series. Just my opinion, but it would also be good if the game isn't released in an incomplete state. Thankfully, that is not what happened this time around. I would say this is one of the rare cases where both newcomers and old fans have a lot to be excited for. Street Fighter VI is the most accessible Street Fighter yet, while also adding more angles to approach the core gameplay than ever before. It used to be that every Street Fighter has maybe one or two new mechanics that the whole game is built around, like the focus attack from Street Fighter IV that allows you to attack your opponent with one hit of armor that stuns your opponent if it lands. It's meant for setting up big combos. Street Fighter V utilized the V-Trigger and V-Gauge, which was like a revenge system, giving players more options for major comebacks when they're down bad. Now Street Fighter VI uses both of these mechanics and even adds some. Every character now has a parry like Ryu, a charge move with armor, and separate bars for using critical arts, and another for improving special moves at a cost to the drive impact gauge. Does any of that make sense to you? Whether it does or not, my name's Poopo420, and I'm here to tell you why now is the time to get into Street Fighter. Fighting games are competitive by nature, which means no matter what, somebody is always going to be a loser. Nobody likes being a loser, except for me, and I think that's been a major deterrent for newcomers. A big problem, in my opinion, that fighting games run into is that there's never a great way to learn the game that doesn't involve like having a friend get into it at the same time as you. Otherwise, you're stuck with the laughably bad tutorials nearly every fighting game has. They always go from being insultingly simple to too complicated. They'll even start throwing around terms they never explained to you in the first place, thus communicating very little to the player. So then you go online, you get your cheeks clapped, and God forbid, if you have any form of communication with your opponent, you're not in for a very positive experience.
Welcome to the real world! Time to learn! You gonna learn today!
Right there.
But Street Fighter VI is taking a new approach to all of that. Instead of tutorials in this game just being a list of movies you get to watch, their entire single-player mode is a glorified tutorial. This tutorial is the most effective way to get someone into fighting games that I have ever seen. You know, unless you have friends playing with you. You may have seen videos online of some of the unholy abominations that people have created using Street Fighter's character creator. It's all for the single-player World Tour mode. You get to walk around an open world training under your favorite characters. They'll teach you their special moves and what situations are ideal for using them, slowly getting you as a player more in touch with the lingo the Street Fighter community uses. You'll also run into random characters that want to teach you the more nuanced aspects of fighting games like countering and good defensive strategies. The story is a joke, but it really doesn't matter. The effort made by the developers to get you good enough to hang in the Battle Hub with other players is very impressive to me. The Battle Hub is where the real fun begins. Online matchmaking for fighting games is in the middle of a huge transformation. I think the first game I saw do it was BlazBlue Critical Fiction, but matchmaking lobbies are actual lobbies now. You can walk around and get into a bunch of nonsense with random people while you wait for your next match. In Street Fighter VI, you can walk around a big room filled with arcade cabinets and strangers, with a big battle ring in the middle. This is your chance to show off your weird created character and even fight other players' creations. The arcade cabinets change every so often between various classic Capcom games. You can also just mess with people. It's a big room of random people, so the only limit is your imagination. You could meet up with your friends and crowd around a virtual arcade cabinet, taking virtual turns of Final Fight. Not sure why anyone would do this, but it is there. The game's also making an attempt at business passes. I mean battle passes, which give you emojis for chats and cosmetics for your freaks. Not gonna lie though, my freak is already perfect. He is the manager. I can't even think of any cosmetics Capcom could tempt me with at this point. I mean, look at this dude. You go somewhere and you're like, yeah, can I talk to the manager? And then this guy like comes out. Usually I'm all about the cosmetics, but so far the cosmetics I've found have been pretty meh. So get excited! Your favorite game from your childhood is now a game as a service! Yay! One thing I really do like though is that you can add commentary to your fights now. If you're anything like me and you like watching live Street Fighter tournaments, you know that the commentators bring the hype to a whole new level.
Oh my God, he's slugging. He's like, I don't care. You still plus, but I'm plus. In my heart, that was the worst part, is kick in the door.
All right, it's all turned around now.
Oh man, he's about to go to burnout.
Yeah, did you see he tried to?
No.
That was so smart.
While they don't have more than probably 20 or 30 voice lines for each commentator, it's a nice idea. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to sell more commentators using the business passes. But I mean, I would probably pay to have like Donald Duck commentate my matches. Honestly, that would be a genius move on Capcom's part. I can only wait and trust in the invisible hand of the market to give us all what we really want. Now, this is going to sound corny, but I'm just going to say it. Even though it's just a recording, I feel so much better after losing when James Chen tells me something like, "It's alright, adjust your approach, and I'm sure you'll get them next time." I think keeping your mindset positive in this game helps a lot. Every time you lose, you gotta look at it as an opportunity to get better, in my opinion. And the commentators seem to have that same mindset every time you lose. Street Fighter 6 is a culmination of 35 years of tweaking a formula. Not literally, but so much effort over the course of this series' history has all contributed to this release. I like all the new additions, and I wonder, how can they even do a Street Fighter 7 in like 5 or 6 years? In my opinion, this is Street Fighter at its finest. Just enough new things to make you readjust almost everything you knew from the Street Fighter before this one, which is why I think it's a good time for newcomers to jump in. At the time of this recording, we just saw the first major Street Fighter 6 tournament, CEO 2023, and it's amazing to me how many FGC gods have totally changed how they play already. The new modern playstyle doesn't seem to fall into the trap other fighting games fall into, where you can only play so well on the simpler controls. Capcom seems to be pushing for players using modern controls to be able to hang with the homies playing on classic. I'm very curious to see if anyone in tournament gets very far with modern controls though, to be honest. But I also really like that this is an option available for now. Oh, come on! Yo, wait a minute. Zangief on modern has a one-button spinning pile driver?
Also known as a SPD within the fighting game community. I'm going to refer to it as a SPD from now on.
Yo, this ruins everything about the neutral game. Is this a joke? Okay, hold on. No. It's great that newcomers have this opportunity to get into a new game. Modern style also comes with a 20% damage nerf, so you can't really get too mad if you lose to someone playing on it because they were nerfed. So try to remember that when you're on the receiving end of something like this. I know I sure will. Street Fighter V back in 2016, in many ways, was seen as a step back for the series. They simplified the combo input timing so much that many professional players would openly admit that they felt Street Fighter V was boring and only played it for money only like a year or two after the game was released. Street Fighter 6 is much more of a return to form, where being very accurate with your inputs can breed huge benefits like perfect parries. Kind of reminds me of another classic Street Fighter moment that involved perfect inputs on parries. Anyway, if you've come this far, I want to thank you so much for watching, and for the love of God, have a nice day.